Hudson Valley Bookkeeping. Today's QuickBooks tutorial is on how to set up your chart of accounts in QuickBooks Online. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please post it in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer. All right, let's get started. Hi everyone, I'm going to explain chart of accounts and how you would edit it or set one up for the first time. Okay, so I've already gone over here on the left in your transaction bar. If you click accounting, then it says chart of accounts. So chart of accounts is basically any account you would post to, whether it be office expense or maybe you paid money out of your checking account for rent. The two entries would be checking account and rent. So in bookkeeping, everything is double entry. So kind of like for every action, there's a reaction. If you take money out of your bank account, you have to allocate to where it was spent, okay? So QuickBooks sets up a chart of accounts for you as like a very basic one, and then you can add to it. So for anyone starting out, the first things you would need would be income, right? Because you're hopefully a business and you're trying to make money. So QuickBooks is going to give you here sales or sales of product income. They always do this unapplied and uncategorized. As you are trying to make this more specific to your business, you could have different types of income. So let me show you how you would do that. You would go up to the top right and click New. Then you would choose the type of account you're picking, right? So we're talking income. Detail type is just QuickBooks spying on you. So you can, I keep everything, I think, in sales of product income or service fee. Okay, and let's say it's for me and I'm a bookkeeper, so I could have bookkeeping. I like to put the word income after every name, just in case you have an expense that's similar. All right, so there you have it. You have your first income account. And now this is a demo file I use a lot for landlords, so I'm showing rental income as well. And now you go into expenses. So we have advertising. So let's say I don't have barely anything in here. Let's say you just had a charge on your credit card and it was for website hosting. So you could click New. Once you click down, now instead of clicking income, you're going to click expenses. Once again, detail type is them just spying on you. I put almost everything in office in general. And then we could say website hosting. I think I saw it in advertising. The one thing you don't want to have is your chart of accounts get so big that when you run a profit and loss, it's like 5 pages long because you had to make a very specific code. So why don't we say website hosting is part of your advertising and marketing, right? That way, when you run a profit and loss, you could collapse it. And even though you have the detail of every dollar you've ever spent, you could get it to 1 to 2 pages because you can't hand a 10-page P&L to a bank. So keep that in mind when you're setting up codes. Like that you want to kind of think like these are buckets of places I spend money, like overhead and office expenses, things like that. And, what have you. Okay. So we've posted. So you just keep going and here's insurance. So once again, let's say insurance. Maybe you have like 2 types of insurance. Maybe you have auto insurance, then maybe you have workers' comp insurance. You could go on and on. Okay, so let me just show you one more. And then, once you've seen this, you've got it. So go back up here. Let's say you actually decided, like you've been looking at your P&L and you see this huge amount of money in insurance and you're not really sure what that entails, like how much for each type. You could go back, click insurance, and then here say auto, and make sure you put insurance, okay? And then let's say your other business insurance is, once again, I'm picking everything here in the detail type. And we could say this is workers' comp insurance. I like a full name. I don't want to just say auto, because if you're trying to type in later, you could end up typing auto for like your gas or something. All right, so now we can see in insurance. Where'd it go? Maybe it's on the next page. There they are. Auto, workers' comp. Okay, one other thing to be mindful of is you can put numbers on them. I would highly recommend that. Right here. So I went, let me just show you again where I went. I clicked the gear icon on the top right. Under your company, I clicked account and settings. Then I clicked advanced, chart of accounts, enable account numbers. You can turn that on. Show, ignore this tips account. Save. Now we have to, I turned it on, but it doesn't, in QuickBooks Desktop, it'll actually give numbers to like the chart of accounts QuickBooks starts you out with, but you'll see here it doesn't. I'll put in the description below how you would start these accounts out with numbers, because you don't want to be, if you don't really know anything about bookkeeping, this might not be the best thing for you. But honestly, if you Google charts of accounts or ask your CPA for kind of a standard listing, it'll be assets are in the 1s, liabilities are in the 2s, equities in the 3s, income is in the 4s, and expenses 5, 6, and 7s. That one's where it gets a little funny. Really, cost of goods is in the 5s, excuse me. So I'll kind of set up a little grid for you that helps show that. If I were more computer savvy, I'd figure out how to give you a PDF. But if you wanted to do that, then what you would do is click edit, and you would type in the number. Usually you want at least 4 digits, 5's probably better. Because if you're a very, very detailed person, you're gonna need 5 digits so you can make all your sub accounts. So save and close. What the number does, so that's my first one of my equity accounts, right? So 3, and you could just go up in the increments of 5 or 10. But what this does is you could print out your chart of accounts and it will keep you from choosing the wrong code that's very similar. Or I see people choose income when it's really like an expense code and the numbers are very similar. So the best bookkeepers I know and the best practices are you have a chart of accounts that you would print out right here, and see now how we have nice numbers, right? And they would all have a number, everything here. That way, what you should really do when you go to enter your transactions is keep this out so that you can go find the right code, and then as you type in the number, it'll happen. So let's say this is owner's investment. Let's write this down, 30005. Okay, we're gonna post to that one account code. So it's like owner's contribution. So we could say, let's say this is my company. But normally when you're receiving money from people, if you have 2 names, just put something in to differentiate it. But normally when you receive money from people, that's a customer. Okay, back to the lesson. We're saying if it's so much easier to enter using account numbers, there you go. So if you know, if you're looking at it and you've already determined the right number in the chart of accounts, like that I said, 3s are always equity, you'll know there's something wrong if you're entering in the 5s, which is normally cost of goods, okay? So it's a really good idea to number your accounts. And I'll definitely put some descriptions of that in the comment section, description section. It'll also help you organize your P&L better, because right now, if you look at this, it's alphabetical. So if you had things CCRSW. So maybe there's a certain way you want to read your P&L. If you put the numbers in, it'll be much easier to read. Okay, I found an example to show you what I'm talking about numbers. Okay, so remember I said assets are in the one, so that's your cash as an asset, savings, things like that. Then you have fixed assets. That's not liquid. That's like the value of a company car, your furniture, real investments you've made. Maybe you own a building or land. That would be in the fixed asset. The twos are where you have your liabilities. That's all the people you owe, your accounts payable, the money on your credit card, any line of credit, business loans, auto loans, mortgages on your building. That would all go in the twos, okay? Equity is always in the threes. That's your investment or your draw. Draw means, or distribution means how much money the company has given you, not in a salary. Revenue, as I said, is always in the fours. As you learn this stuff, you'll just know. Like, to me, this is just breathing, right? Cost of goods is in the fives. So that's anything, especially if you're in construction or something where you have a very specific job cost, that, especially if you're a contractor or something like that, your cost of goods, like all your materials would be in the fives. Expenses, overhead, sixes. So we've got automobile, that would be your rent, and you could just continue on. And there's so many examples of chart of accounts on Google. You could like kind of search for one specific to your, industry. But I would say this is a really good one because sometimes I see a little kind of wacky one. So this is a good one to follow. Sixes are expenses. They've got 7 other income and other expenses. Other income. That's where I'd put like interest income from your bank, or maybe you have a CD, or maybe you're holding something. It's income that doesn't have to do with the real operation of your business. So that's where you would create that. 8, other expenses. That's kind of a tricky one. I don't usually have other expenses. I sometimes use that if it's something my client wants to see on their profit and loss until year end, where we'll move it back to equity. So maybe they're trying to use their profit and loss report to track cash flow. So I don't have a lot of, most things should be for the business and they should be operational. All right, so I hope you found this informational, and please watch out for our next video.